Hey guys, it's Big Nate. This is my chronicle. Today we are talking about Star Wars the Acolyte, Season 1, Episode 6, The Long Droning Crawl to the Finish. To recap, we have a mystery that was solved in the second episode, a flashback that dragged slower than an asthmatic ant going uphill, and two scenes in a jungle, one parodying the Predator and the other failing to have any meaningful lightsaber duel. And as this season goes on, I wish that they had finished at episode 5. But Star Wars has greenlit them for, I believe, 8 episodes, and we are gonna drag ourselves over that finish line one way or the other. We come back from the recap and we see Osha just waking up from being unconscious. She appears to have a wound on her side, somehow still there. If we remember the last episode, that was healed visibly by the Sith Darth Twink the Effeminate. She gets up and grabs a bottle of mysterious liquid, sniffing it, and then taking a drink. Now, sniffing for water does nothing. I mean, all it will tell you is that it's not alcohol in any way, shape, or form. That doesn't mean it's not a dozen of other things. Well, there could be acid in there. Does she know what acid smells like? Just whatever. And we see a small, weird little alien, probably an attempted cash grab like Grogu was, but not nearly as cute. It looks like an elephant chew toy that you get a dog, and it scuttles away. She sees an open bag and pulls out one of May's knives and spare clothes. She dresses and goes out to a landscape that she does not recognize, and neither do any of us, though it does look a lot like the island that Luke was on in that terrible movie that we shall not name. And we get the immensely helpful, so very, very needed title pop up of Unknown Planet. Wow, you guys are being real imaginative these days, ain't you? Unknown Planet. If you weren't going to name it, why put the title up? You could say it's anywhere in the galaxy. You could even have the guy reveal where they are in the next episode or in the current episode. So that is completely unnecessary. The camera pans back and we reveal this little island she's on and very intense music, which obviously makes me believe that she cannot swim, because there's no other reason for this intense attempt at emotional music unless it's like, dude, she's on an island and she can't swim. We come back from the opening titles and she is down on the beach trying to figure something out. We see another one of those elephant chew toy looking things and its parent, an ugly two-legged elephant chew toy thing. Yes, what a fantastic world nature is, isn't it? Just on an island, no visible means of getting there via swimming or flying, just this small, round creature with a head that has a trunk, and that is the only distinguishing feature. What a wonderful and imaginative world we have. She turns and sees Darth Twink the Effeminate walking away, holding a basket like he's off on a picnic, and she decides to follow. We cut back to Kofar, and Jedi Master Sol has taken the shuttle back up into space, and that apparently has taken the same amount of time for the Sith Lord to grab Osha, get to his ship, and fly away. And it's daytime. Last episode, they got back to the ship, and it was nighttime, and now it is daytime. What is the day night cycle on this planet? Is it the same as ours? Is it not? I don't know. Apparently, this universe doesn't have time anymore. Why would you spend an untold number of hours after being attacked by a man who admits he's a Sith Lord and stay on the planet until morning before leaving, while at the same time leaving the desiccated bodies of your team, one of whom was your personal Padawan, behind? The dude didn't even bother to pick up their lightsabers. I was thinking the amount of time this has taken, day night cycle, he would have gone back, collected their lightsabers, collected their bodies, put them in burial shrouds, ready to be sent back to Coruscant in his ship so they can burn them, as is Jedi tradition. But apparently, that's too much for him to handle. Now, if you remember, in the previous episode to the last one, when they were trying to find the Wookiee Jedi, they spent hours, a full day and night to get to him. And after the duel, in the same night, they managed to get back to the ship and then hang around until daylight to leave. I don't know how long they've been on this planet. You don't know how long they've been on this planet. No one does. All we know now is that they're leaving and he's leaving the bodies behind. Our heroes, ladies and gentlemen, our heroes. He tries to call Coruscant. Jedi Master Soul opens transmission to Coruscant and it gets blocked or interrupted. And we don't know why. It hasn't been explained in the episode. It's a little spoiler for later on. It isn't explained then and it's not explained now. All he can get off is that his team is dead and that it is a code 0 before the transmission ends at his location. So any sane person would believe that your communication lines have been tampered with. Get back to Coruscant as fast as possible and make a report because the Sith have returned. 1,000 years of peace broken, and 100 years before the Phantom Menace starts, the Sith have returned and they have revealed themselves. So now we know there's only one of two possibilities coming out of this next 3 episodes. One, everyone gets killed. Two, the Sith survive and kills everybody else. Or three, some convoluted reason with space magic and lesbian witches. Whatever it's going to be, it's not going to be satisfying. So why would you put yourself in a position like this? It makes no sense, and no sane person would have done so. Huzzah for Leslie Headland and her visionary and in-depth storytelling. Let's also bear in mind, boys and girls, that May is impersonating her sister Osha, and Jedi have the ability to sense people. That is why, in Revenge of the Sith, it is all the more horrifying for Master Yoda as he feels every one of the little lights that make up the Jedi disappear one by one or all at once. He felt every single death. That is why, in A New Hope, Obi-Wan Kenobi could suddenly sense millions of voices crying out in terror and then suddenly silence. This is an ability the Jedi have. They can discern between people because no two people have the same presence in the Force. Like a fingerprint, each person's Force signature is different. So for Jedi Master Saul, who trained Osha, who lived with her for a number of years, because we know the Padawan process takes a number of years to complete, for him not to realize that it's May and not Osha leads me to believe that the man is a bumbling incompetent who didn't study history because someone says, "Hey, dude, I'm a Sith," and we get no reaction from him, and he's emotionally compromised, something a Jedi is not supposed to be. They are trained to master their emotions so their emotions don't master them. That is the whole point. If you're overly emotional and are being driven by those emotions and pouring those emotions into the Force, you're becoming a Sith and you are a dark sider. So, what is it? One, he's incompetent, or two, he's the real Sith Master all along. And if it's the second one, I'm going to be severely disappointed because he is the only thing in this show that I like. Behind him, May pulls a knife, one of the ones she used to kill a previous Jedi Master, and slowly she stalks closer to him before he gets up and walks off, heedless of the danger he was in. I don't know what's going on with this guy. He should have been able to sense that happening as well. So, May sits in the captain's chair and starts fiddling with things. And we cut to the Basil. The little beaver like creature from the last two episodes has started sniffing and mincing around the ship. He puts the droid, the little pip droid, in its charger port before he starts sniffing around again. And there's a cut here. And we're back with the Twink and Osha, as Osha is following right behind him. He goes to a cove where he begins to immediately strip off, as if that's what we want in Star Wars, naked dudes. If it was my vote for who would get naked in Star Wars, it would most definitely be Natalie Portman or Princess Leia. Young Princess Leia, not old General Leia. But no, we get Darth Twink the Effeminate stripping down and hopping in the water for a nice leisurely swim. Is he doing laps? No, he is not. Because to do laps, you have to have room to do them. And in that little alcove, there is no room for you to do anything but paddle out a little bit and then paddle back. Is he bathing? Again, no, he has taken nothing with him that looks like he's going to use for bathing. What he did bring with him was his lightsaber. So obviously he knew May would follow and he knew May would grab the saber. And begins to manipulate Osha. As soon as she picks up his lightsaber, he begins to manipulate her. He asks her how it feels holding a lightsaber again, and it is very suggestive, and the way she's holding it is very suggestive, and it's not something anyone wanted in Star Wars, but here we are. He compliments her form before addressing her low elbow guard for some reason and tells her to lift it up, and she does this weird thing that doesn't really fit with any form of guard I've ever seen. And she asked him if he killed Master Sol or May. He says no, and he begins to walk away after getting dressed. I have no idea why this scene is here other than fan service. I really don't. It's like, oh, what can we give the ladies that aren't watching this series? I know. Let's give them a naked dude that's only naked from the waist up. Oh, yeah, that'll get the ladies talking around the water cooler, whatever it is they talk around. Yeah. Look at that trapezius action there. Woo! We go back to May and Sol, and he still doesn't know it's May. He's telling her he's going to come clean to the council and everything will be okay. And then he gives her this weird, awkwardly, emotionally bereft hug. And it's really uncomfortable to watch. That was more uncomfortable than the nudity. That hug he gives May is way more uncomfortable than the nudity. And we cut to Coruscant. Huzzah! The Jedi are going to be under review because a senator has taken it upon himself to gather as many other senators as possible and audit the Jedi. Okay, that's innovative. We never saw why this one is doing it. We don't know anything at all about this. It's just something they say. And you'd think something as important as auditing the Jedi would have more than a throwback line in a series, but apparently we're doing this now. And another twink arrives, a Jedi that has about as much testosterone as a clamshell. He is very nervous and submissively tells Master Venestra that everyone but Sol is dead and they've been unable to get back in contact with Sol. And Venestra has very little emotional feel here, which is good for a Jedi, but it feels like she's trying to show emotion, which is also weird for the acting choice. She's trying to emote while not emoting, and it's really weird. She decides to put together a team and go out and save them. Okay, excellent. And we cut back to Osha. She's trying to find out why Darth Twink took her. He's hinting that he's a Jedi beforehand, and he was a Jedi some time ago, but the way he hints it makes me feel like, oh, he's an old man, like he's ancient old man, and he only looks young because that's the way it's worded, the way it sounds like, I was a long time ago. How are you timing a long time ago? Because there's no time in this universe right now. You can jump from Coruscant to the Outer Rim in seconds, something that in the original series took days or hours. I mean, Han Solo jumps from Tatooine to Alderaan in like 12 hours. And that's Outer Rim to Mid Rim. So what is the central planet to Outer Rim? What the hell is that speed? Oh, all right, whatever. Uh, he tells her that to get swimming if she wants to get onto the ship because whatever reason he's trying to manipulate her into striking him, but at the same time he's slowly turning her to his point of view. And the only way for her to get off the planet is to go swimming to the ship. And he tells her to get swimming. So she's obviously not going to go to the ship because she can't swim. Even though she hasn't said she can't swim, every time she looks at the water, we get that music that tells me that she can't swim. Whatever. May drops down into the maintenance hatch after being asked by Master Sol to see what's going on, and she gets attacked by the Basil. And instead of actually trying to strike her, he looks like Mini Me humping Austin Powers' leg. He just grabs it onto the leg and looks like he's friggin' humping the leg. And she kicks him off and he runs off, and the little pip droid squirts in her face. She lets out a scream. Don't know why, it didn't look like it was hurting her, just more looked like a shock, but whatever. And then she decides to factory reset the droid. But after she force resets the droid, she gets on with the repairs. And we go back to Osha, who confronts the twink, and he explains the dark side and telling her how broken the Jedi way is. How is she sure that the reason she left the Jedi was the reason she left the Jedi? Once again, dropping hints about the Jedi messing with her memory or messing with her mind. Now, if this was the extended universe before the acquisition, I would very well be on board with this because they did it to Darth Revan twice. He was the single most powerful Jedi, and every single Jedi Master on the Council twisted his mind and erased his memories so they could make him their perfect weapon. And I'd be fully on board with that if that's what they were doing to Osha. But it's not. Because she left. You'd think that if you were going to mess with someone's memory, you would erase the bad parts, keep the good parts, and then retrain them into being an excellent Jedi, like they did with Revan. But no. This is all the hints that they're dropping that the Jedi have messed with her mind. He tries to manipulate her into striking him down, similarly to Darth Sidious in Revenge of the Sith with Dooku and in Return of the Jedi with Luke, but it doesn't really work. She's not buying what he is selling, even though she seems open to the sale. And we go back to Coruscant, and Venestra is in her outgo robes, you can tell, because the stay around and do nothing robes are in white, and the outgoing adventure robes are all in brown, with the same ridiculous yellow tunic. And for some reason, this random twinkish Jedi Knight, who still has his Padawan braid, if you look behind him, is talking down to Master Venestra, saying, "Hey, you know you don't like space travel, it makes you feel sick." And she says, "Don't care, going on this mission anyway." And you know that's some form of in joke between her and Leslie Headland. It just feels like it's one of the, oh, it's such a cute moment between. No, no. We go back to the Basil, who is in the vents, with May following him as his little torch is illuminated in the grates between the deck plates. So she's following him along. When Saul calls her, and he still hasn't noticed it's May, even though from where I'm sitting and the camera's sitting with Saul and he's looking at May, you can see the tattoo on her forehead. This tattoo has been visible the entire time. And it's not like OSHA has something in that area of her face that looks like it so she can be disguised. It's as obvious as they stuck a 10 pence piece on her forehead. That's how obvious it is. It's ridiculous. They have a little chat here. He notices how she's carrying the pip droid. And then it starts to click that this may not be OSHA, because he talks about how much OSHA loved that droid, how much OSHA cared for that droid, how she always carried that droid. And it's this moment that he realizes that it's May and not OSHA. Not the entirety of this episode has anything happened other than them talking. He's been with her close enough to see her forehead, as close as, say, a person sitting in front of a computer screen. And it takes her holding the droid a different way for him to notice that it's not OSHA. Good lord. He tells her to go into the cockpit and he stuns her from behind. Finally. The only gun that Jedi ever seems to carry is this one stun gun, and it's done the heavy lifting for the entire series so far. Only for the communications device to click back on, revealing a communication for the Coruscanti Jedi. The rescue team's on the way. Turn on your transponder. Remain where you are. We're coming to help you. And instead of following these instructions, Master Sol decides to do the most suspicious thing on the planet, well, in space, sets course for somewhere with the hyperdrive, and then blasts off. And I shit you not, boys and girls, another ship turns up. Not even a full second after they've gone. And it's the Jedi. And this is supposed to be a really far out of rim planet, not a mid rim planet. So this should have taken at least a couple hours. When did they set off? Don't know. How long did it take? Don't know. I would have loved to have been there for the briefing for this mission. Yeah, I sent these people out here to die because I thought that was better than informing the High Council, who would have sent a larger strike team in to deal with a potential threat. All the brains of a lemon. Mm-hmm. The Jedi relief ship lands on the planet, and we go back to our little meeting between Darth Twink the Effeminate and Usha. He begins to repair his helmet using a welder. Somehow that works better than a lightsaber. What should have happened here? He should have had the helmet, melted it down, put it in some kind of stone mold covered in mystic runes and weird looking incense around it, in a runic circle going out and out and out, something witchy like the lesbian space witches had. And then he should have poured the liquid metal into the mold and then waited a few seconds for everything to glow ominously, to have weird chanting noises coming, and then the mold breaks apart and the helmet is fully formed, sitting there with an aura about it that is more impressive than the actual ridiculous look of the helmet. But no, he's sitting in the back, tapping at it like he's welding it with what looks to be some form of plasma torch, and it's disappointing. Like, why am I putting more effort into this than you? You spent 170 something million on this series. Why are we writing better things than you? Why are we even attempting to find some form of logic in this inescapable malaise of stupidity? Darth Twink explains that the helmet is not just a helmet, but is also a sensory deprivation device that the Jedi like to use. It blocks out all the senses and allows you to commune more deeply with the Force. Except it can't be a sensory deprivation device because he was talking to Master Saul and holding a conversation with him while he was wearing it. That means it can't be sensory deprivation because he was having a full conversation with Master Saul. Is there a mic in there? I don't know. Is there earplugs in there? I don't know. This dingus has just told me it's sensory deprivation, which means no light, no sound, in or out. And yet he has a sliver of light, where we see that later on, and he's able to hold full conversations. Idiot. Absolute idiot. He tells Osha to give it a try. He leaves the helmet on the side and then once again walks away. We cut back to the Jedi, who are conversing with the locals on the planet to explain that, hey man, some of them giant moth things have hatched. Maybe they got the Jedi. And if that guy had reported that to me, I would have beaten him with my lightsaber hilt until he cried. What kind of poorly trained, ridiculous bumfuckery is this? Jedi dying to what amounts to earwigs, flying earwigs. I would have slapped the friggin' taste out of this boy's mouth. What in the name of God are they teaching these people in the High Republic? It's high because they're all on something. Twit. So Venestra leads them into the forest to find out what happened to the Jedi team. Remember, this took hours of episode 4. Hours. Takes them 25 seconds and they're there. Huzzah! Time has no meaning. They find the still cooling bodies of the Jedi Strike team, and Saul didn't even have the common decency to close their eyes. We see Jackie and Yord lying face up, eyes still open. Like, dude, what the hell kind of person are you? Why would you do this? Why would you leave them there? God, disgusting behavior by this man. They ponce around the bodies a bit, and Venestra seems to be the only competent person here, of course. Asks this twink Jedi, who somehow still hasn't been punched in the face, what do you think happened here? And then he gives us a brief summary of what actually happened before one of those little bug things gets attracted to them somehow. They're not flashing light at it, and it's the middle of the day. And for some reason, they're attracted to him, even though they've been told that they only attracted to the light. And it gives Jedi Master Venestra a chance to use her noodle, her pool noodle lightsaber to kill it. Wow, that's some budget there. And as they're about to leave, we hear some pretty poor ADR coming over the speakers on a microphone that is obviously not of the same quality as the microphones used in the series. As Venestra tells them to pick up the bodies, they're going to bring them back to Coruscant for burial. I guess they really didn't like everyone's commenting about them just leaving corpses around. It's absolute ridiculousness and count to 10, count to 10. Okay. May wakes up in the med bay of the ship, and she has been fully restrained, with Master Saul waiting for her. He tells her that he had 16 years to think about what he wanted to say to her if he ever had the chance, and that now she's going to listen. And that's not creepy at all. I mean, what's so creepy about a dude who ties you up to the med bay bed and tells you he's going to tell you something and you will listen? Oh, yeah, that's not creepy behavior at all, is it? We cut back to Osha because he's not going to tell May anything, and she is touching and fondling the helmet. She is fingering the little cracks on it, and she's touching it, trying to really understand this ridiculousness before our very eyes. She contemplates putting it on, and then she puts it on, and inside we see a sliver of light passing through the visor, and we hear her breathing. And it sounds ridiculous. It's like they're trying everything they can to make it sound like Darth Vader's rebreather, and it's just so stupid. And if that wasn't enough, if that wasn't enough rampant stupidity, they cut to the titles, and it still has her heavy breathing over the titles. Oh my god. I give this episode a 1.5. Just for the comedy at the end alone, push that score up. Good lord. And I just want to remind everyone, boys and girls, they've done nothing this episode. They haven't gone anywhere. They are in the same position they were from the end of the episode to the beginning of the episode, with no evolution. The only thing that's happened is that Saul has captured May and is going somewhere, not telling us where. And May is still captured with the Sith. And good lord, I just don't know why you would fathom 8 episodes and you said nothing in 5 of them. I don't understand any of what is going on. Why would you purposefully, mind you, create a story this vapid, this empty, this bereft of anything? There was meat in episode 1 and 2, and there was meat in episode 5. But it's more than likely we're going to have a flashback next episode, because Saul's going to be dropping secrets, and I don't care. You've made me not care about anything in this series. This apathy has set in. What are you guys doing? This film series costs more than Godzilla Minus One. $20 million an episode. And this is what you've given us. Where's that money gone? What have you done? You've done nothing. Good Lord. I'd say you should feel ashamed, but you'd have to feel emotion before that. This has been my review, boys and girls. I will catch you somewhere down that road. If you're looking for a palate cleanser, I recommend Lord of the Rings. I'm currently reading The Two Towers, and I'm thoroughly enjoying. I will catch you guys somewhere down that road. Big Nate, out.
That's the review. Please like, comment, and subscribe.